It is Wednesday, April 2nd, and we're looking at a major severe weather outbreak across the mid-Mississippi Valley. And what I think is going to be a dangerous situation today is going to get even worse with the potential for some heavy flooding rains. We're going to look at that in just a moment. Some areas could see more than 10 inches of rain, arguably close to a foot of rain over the next couple of days. So you're just adding insult to injury. All right, here's what we're looking at. In the upper levels, some really strong winds aloft. This is going to fuel those thunderstorms. And not only that, we're seeing temperatures really go up here. We've had severe storms going overnight into the early morning hours. That will continue. And now we're looking at this area. At least the highest risk would be right here along the Mississippi River, western Kentucky, West Tennessee, eastern Missouri, northeast Arkansas. But we're not just looking here. We're going to push that severe weather risk all the way north, way up toward the Great Lakes here into southern Michigan, and then further east into Ohio and the rest of Tennessee and Kentucky. So let's just dig into this just a little bit because, again, I think this is going to be a widespread severe weather outbreak. This is what we're looking at from the Storm Prediction Center. Their new guidance here showing a high risk. This is a 5 out of 5. That's as high as you get here when you look at severe weather potential. Again, it also includes southern parts of Illinois and arguably southern parts of Indiana, maybe just the very tip here. But still a moderate risk all the way down into Arkansas. As our storms move east into this region today, we're going to continue to see those severe wind gusts and the potential for some strong EF3 or higher tornadoes. And some of those could be long-lived, which would be absolutely catastrophic. All right, a closer look here. You can see that high risk. It does include Memphis all the way up here into West Kentucky and into a good chunk of Tennessee, even as far east as Jackson, Tennessee, I think, here up to Nashville. Some pretty decent risk of seeing that strong weather, and then all the way down to the Louisiana border. And then back here into Texas as our front drops to the south, maybe not so much of a tornado risk, but it's not zero, but some decent hail and some strong damaging wind gusts possible out of these storms. Further to the north, up into Indiana, Illinois, the rest of the state here, you've now seen this moderate risk push a little bit further to the north, very close to Indianapolis. So severe weather expected here today. Also all the way up into Ohio as these storms move east through the overnight. We'll time all of this out. The tornado outlook, definitely high. You've got this hatched area out here. It's where you've got these lines. This tells you there's a significant risk of seeing tornadoes. And now you've got this 30% chance here across West Tennessee, West Kentucky. That's a 30% chance of seeing a tornado within a 25-mile area. I mean, that sounds, really like, oh, well, that's granted. You go, well, that's not that bad. That's pretty high. I mean, this is very significant. It, of course, could always be higher, but this is definitely nothing to sneeze at for sure. A wider look at the severe weather outlook for today. You can see it extends all the way back into Texas as our front moves east. You can pretty much see how this is working. Low pressure here, moving toward the Great Lakes, dragging a front through. Tomorrow, here's the deal. That front's going to sag south, so your severe risk now stretching from the mid-Atlantic all the way to Texas, and now you've stalled this front. Here comes the second problem. Look at the day 2 outlook. Your tornado risk pretty much in some of the same areas. It's not as high today, right? You don't see the pinks and the dark purples, and so it's not a zero threat, but it's still on the table. And then beyond this, check this out. This is the day 3 outlook. Notice how the storms don't move that much. Now we start to worry about the flooding rains. Okay, let's look at the future radar. We'll time some of this out. I'm going to start close here into Missouri, Arkansas, also into parts of Texas. Thunderstorms moving east today. Tornado threat still there. We continue to really get things destabilized here. Out ahead of this main line, watch out for these storms that start to develop. They could be supercells, and that's where you get your tornado risk really going up with a lot of wind shear, that change of wind direction with height, especially here into eastern Missouri, eastern Arkansas, and then into West Kentucky now as we head into the evening hours. The time above my head is Eastern time, so take an hour off for Central time. So toward that dinner time hour, into the early evening hours, these storms rolling through Missouri, Arkansas, now into West Tennessee and Kentucky, right along the Ohio River. And then as we move toward that 8 o'clock Central time frame, now moving through Memphis toward Jackson, Tennessee, getting very close to Nashville, still west of town here, but back towards southern Kentucky, West Kentucky, I should say, and then northern parts of Mississippi, we'll start to see these cells once we move toward the 10, 11 o'clock hour tonight, and then those move off to the south. A bit of a wider look here. You can see the storms moving to the east, so we're starting to quiet down across Oklahoma and Missouri as we head into the overnight, and now things stall out, and check it out. a risk of more thunderstorms tomorrow with more heavy rain on top of what we're getting right now. Further to the east and to the south, not looking too bad, at least for most of today across the southeast. We're just sort of priming the pump, if you will, and a lot of that pump is being primed to your north as all of this really warm, humid air moves up into this unstable air mass with that cold air aloft swinging through. Storms moving through Indiana overnight tonight. Look at this. We could really see things going through the overnight into Indiana again as your front moves through. So some damaging winds possible with this, even a few tornadoes along that line. And then everything, I don't want to say it calms down, but there could still be a few strong storms lingering through central Ohio down into central Kentucky through the early morning hours. But notice how this front gets hung up, right? It didn't move much further to the south, and now you rebound things, so to speak, with more rain and more storms on the way for Friday. Again, it doesn't look, or I should say, into Friday, late Thursday into Friday, and more rain on the way after this. A little bit further to the north, there's a snow threat on the northern side of this too. It could get pretty heavy up here into parts of Minnesota with 4, 5, 6 inches of snow, maybe even more in some areas. And then here comes that severe weather moving through Indiana, Illinois. I think you watch here into parts of southern Wisconsin. And yes, we've looked further to the south. We've really bullseyed here. But, if this was an average day, you would still be looking at this and going, hey, there could be some severe weather in Wisconsin today, maybe even as far north as Green Bay, and then up here into southern Michigan, possibly north up into the Thumb area, and then up here towards Gaylord. So there could be some strong storms this afternoon, and then later tonight into tomorrow morning, pushing through the Ohio Valley toward West Virginia, really weakening as it moves toward the mountains here. All right, let's go back to the future radar. We'll continue this timeline out here. More heavy rain on the way too with this, and the storms continue to drive off to the south and east. Again, not making a lot of headway, and now we're just picking up heavy rain and even some more strong storms tomorrow night into Friday. A closer look into the northeast. The severe weather here really mostly to your southwest. Not really looking too bad here for the next couple of days, at least with severe threat. Now, some of those storms could get strong back here into Ohio, into Pennsylvania, but otherwise, the big deal, I think, would be the rain that's coming. And check this out. I'm backing things up because I want to show you this. Look at the freezing rain and the snow falling here into parts of Maine. Even in Maine, where we get the snow, we're going to get some warm air aloft moving through when we change things over to freezing rain. As this low wraps up, some heavy snow on the northern side of this, moving into Ontario, and then there's that cold air entrenched here into the northeast with some snow, sleet, freezing rain over to just plain rain, and then the rain threat continues. It's on. With the next ripple of low pressure that moves along our front. Check this out. Maybe some snow here into North Texas. I mean, this is an impressive system, too, as we head toward the weekend. Does this put some severe weather further south into the southeast? Maybe so. Here's the snow outlook for today and tonight, really, once it's all said and done. Some areas getting more than 6 inches here across northeast South Dakota, southern parts of North Dakota, and then up here into Minnesota. The arrowhead of Minnesota, I think, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. Some areas right here along the lake could get close to a foot. And then over into Michigan, not a lot of snow here. Also into northern Wisconsin. Interesting, we're going to see some of this snow, and then as the warm air surges north, we'll change back over to rain, and then your severe threat is on. And here is the rain outlook. Check this out. Some of these areas that are being forecasted across West Tennessee and Kentucky, more than a foot of rain now through Sunday. So flooding is a concern here. If you look at the Weather Prediction Center, their day 2 outlook, a moderate risk of seeing that severe or that flooding risk here, or I should say the day 1 outlook. The day 2 outlook, even more intense, a high risk of flooding here across Arkansas, southern Missouri, Tennessee, with a widespread, at least somewhat of a risk across a good chunk of the mid-Mississippi Valley, up the Ohio River, up towards Pittsburgh, and then more rain on the way for day 3. So a lot of rain on the way. Flooding is a big concern with all of the thunderstorms that will be repeating over the same areas. A quick look across the west. It's colder here. We've had some pretty wild weather, and while things, relatively speaking, I guess, are a little bit quieter, we're still dealing with this cold air loft, so more showers, more rain showers, and snow showers in the mountains too. And then we do start to dry out, and we warm up some as we head toward the weekend. Highs today quite a bit colder here across the southwest, into the 60s for Phoenix versus the 70s and 80s. And I didn't mean to skip through the northeast. I meant to show you guys this. Some snow here into Maine, a couple of inches. The blue means more than 2 inches before we change over to some ice in the form of some freezing rain here a tenth up to 2/10 of an inch of ice before things completely flip back over to rain. And then back to the west, some snow here across the Pacific Northwest. A lot of cold air aloft here with this upper low spinning like this. So with that, temperatures on the way down, some rain and snow showers, unsettled weather here with colder temperatures today. So again, if you're just joining the broadcast, it's a live video I do every day. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist on TV years and years ago. So if you're looking for Weather Source on YouTube, I hope you'll subscribe. It's not the end. You can always rewind it back if you're just popping on and watch it from the beginning. And the whole thing today, really, this is the big risk area. Stay weather aware. Have a way to get alerts. It's a dangerous day. Be safe. See you next time.